Hello and welcome to the Division 4 race in the United Racing League. I'm Tom Kent in the commentary box. Alongside me is Tommy, who will be alongside me to give the details for today's event. Tommy, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Welcome back. We missed you last week at Monza. You missed quite a bit of action. We saw Leocat take to the top step of the podium ahead of Bratti, who had finished second, but more importantly, extended his margin over his rivals at the top of the championship. With 4 races to go, the gap at the top is 43 points between Bratti in the Racing Point and Halaquendi in the Mercedes, who, believe it or not, is not actually racing tonight, and neither is Ryderdale. So this is a good opportunity for Bratti to open up the gap even more here in Canada.
Indeed. It seems that he could, if he keeps his current run of form, and since there's only a few races to go, that he could clinch the title early.
There are 3 rounds to go after this. There are 78 points left on the table after this one. So in actual fact, and just trying to work out the my maths here, he wouldn't be able to clinch it today, no matter what happens, but victory would take him a giant step closer to it. He could clinch it at the very next race in Japan. But I think what's most important for Bratti here is just take the opportunity when he can and just get a good haul of points like he did so at Monza. Even if it was to finish second or third in the race, he's still extending his lead at the top.
It looks a bit overcast in qualifying. Could we see some rain as the session progresses?
Well, if there was expected to be some rain, we'd have seen a flood of cars making their way out onto the racetrack quicker than what we've seen so far as Izimado makes his way out onto the racetrack. It's not the first driver to head out on track. That would be the Williams of Leocat, who will be ever so determined to get a lap on the board. It is an 18-minute short qualifying session, so there's no Q1, Q2 or Q3. It's just the grid is determined by what happens in what is now the next 16 minutes.
Indeed. I'm wondering what's going to be on strategy today, because yesterday in the Div 5 race we saw Miscati, and I can't remember who it was, take their hards with a 1-stop when the predicted strategy was a 2-stop, and they had quite a bit of tyre wear, but they managed to take it to the end. So could we see some alternate strategies?
There's certainly going to be a mixture of them, and also to take into consideration when it comes to racing at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve is track limits. Tommy, you touched on before the show about how easy it is to exceed track limits by going over this final chicane that Leocat has gone through now.
Yes, indeed. Yesterday in the Div 5 race, there were indeed quite a lot of penalties, and I believe the person who finished 4th on track got 2nd yesterday because of just not getting as many penalties as those in front of him.
Mm-hmm. So looking at the championship at the moment, there's only 2 of the top 5 in the championship who are actually competing tonight. Brian, who is 6th in the standings overall, he's also competing, and Geno is also doing so in the Alfa Romeo. Cross Nation is doing so in the Renault. He's also racing. Izimado in the Ferrari. So, to be fair, there's still, according to my calculations, there's still 6 of the top 9 competing.
There's a yellow flag in Sector 1.
Yeah, that'll be just for someone to move out of the way. But Leocat is on a flying lap. We're staying with him because he was the first one to cross over the line to begin a flying lap. What are we going to expect to see from him as he goes over the curves? He had to take a bit of a sharper line through there to make sure he didn't exceed the track limits, but at least he's getting a banker lap on the board, and it's 1 minute 8.5.
A 1 minute 8.5, yes, that is that's all right lap time, but I would expect the lap times to come down. And as I'm looking, there are quite a few people out on the medium tyres. Maybe they're just conserving a set, or they're just trying an alternate strategy.
It's situations like this where intimate knowledge of the track can really work to your advantage, and clearly Leocat is doing just that by just putting a banker lap in, as he knows how easy it is to exceed track limits here.
You want to be a bit cautious on your first lap, just so you know where the limit is, and then if you get a few more laps in, you can start to push it more and more as you get more confident of where you can make little gains and make sure not to cut.
Mm-hmm. Ray in the Racing Point has gone second on a 1minute 8.6, just under a tenth away from provisional pole position. Pellegrini has gone third fastest on his medium compound, so 1minute 9.0, which is actually a decent time from him. So he's probably going to use one of the runs on his mediums before he switches over to a set of the softs. I think a lot of these drivers are going to go into the event with 2 medium tyres.
I'm on board with Izumado, and he had a big snap of oversteer coming out of their hairpin. He is on the medium, so I wouldn't expect him to go fastest. And he's had another bit of oversteer, and he's backed out of it.
Yeah, because he's just exceeded track limits, and what that means also, because he did it on the last corner, that's invalidated his next lap. So it's a double whammy on this racetrack.
Yeah, it can be like that, but that last chicane is so difficult not to cut, I know from experience and seeing the Div 5 race yesterday.
So here's John, who is on a lap that's invalidated at the moment, so we'll come away from him. It's Mike in the Mercedes, one of the reserve drivers who's been called in for this evening, is coming through.
He was the winner of Div 5 yesterday, actually.
Well, can he convert that kind of performance into Division 4? He goes
Yes, he
to
can.
provisional pole position by nearly half a second for It's Mike. Now, that's something that the driver's going to have to beat, even for the championship leader, Bratti.
I seem to remember yesterday, I know it's different conditions because it was full-on clear skies and everything yesterday for the Div 5 race, but I seem to remember that the whole lap time was something like a 1:07.6, so they have quite a bit of lap time to gain.
And another one of the reserve drivers being called in for this evening is John, who's on the medium tyre. He's coming through the hairpin now of turn 10, through turn 11. This is going to be hopefully a legal lap time going on to the body. He wants to try and get ahead of Chris Rock, who's also set a time on the medium compound. So low 1minute 9 should be his target, but he's invalidated his lap time and he'll have to go again. So Brian's coming through sector 1 on a 19.1 with that one. Now with Brian at the moment, so far this season, he has finished every single race. His highest has been 4th in the second round in Baku. He was the last.
He's just got his lap time invalidated.
Yeah, he's just overdone it into turn 8, so he'll have to go again. But at least the next lap is not going to be invalidated. So, but going back to what I was saying about Brian, last time out he was the last of the finishers in 11th place, but at least he got to the checker flag. And I think with a lot of the top guns' absences, he's got a good opportunity to try and get a podium here. But having said that, you've got the likes of It's Mike, Ray possibly, Sassy Pickle.
I'm just flashing through the drivers. I don't see anything like coming up that looks in it really that special, so I don't expect to see improvements until those top guys come back out.
So this is Liam, who got a championship point from the last race. Didn't look very likely considering the penalties that he had picked up, but he at least got something from that event. Goes in 8 fastest on the 1 minute 9.8, which is the slowest time of all those who have set a time in this qualifying session. Now here's Brian.
Cross is on a lap right behind Liam, and he got a great slipstream going into the first corner. So I expect, and he's hit the wall slightly though, but he has had a fantastic first sector.
So looking at the times at the moment, who is coming through the last chicane? Well, we've got a Ferrari coming through, which is Amadi, but he's just completing an outlap. This is Brian, who's coming through now for AlphaTauri. Took it very, very cautiously, probably brake too late into turn 12, which compromises line. But at least he's got a lap on the board, nevertheless. It's a 1 minute 9.5 for him, but he'll want to do better than that.
I was on board with Cross, as I said, but he actually went over the curb at turn 8, but on the inside this time, and he invalidated his lap, so he's come into the pits and hasn't set a lap time.
Speak of the devil, Learcut's just gone to provisional pole position on a 1 minute 7.8, He's the first driver to complete a lap time in just under 1 minute 8. So it's a very, very strong lap time there from Leacat, and I would expect Bratti to go on a better lap than Leacat on this run, but he's got a bit of traffic coming up on his lap.
He is half a second up on his best in the first sector, and 18.9, which is very quick. That is 0.3 quicker than Krusty Nation that I was on board with earlier. He just needs to make sure he stays within track limits for the rest of the lap, and it should be pretty far up there.
And coming through sector 2, he's over 8/10 up from his previous best. I think we're going to see him in the 1 minute 7s, but will we see him ahead of Leacat by the end of this one? He needs to get through turns 12 and 13 without any issues. Brian B moving out of the way, so there should be no more problems for Bratti as he comes into the last chicane. Can he keep the car within the limits of the racetrack? Yes, he can, just about. DRS Open on the racing point. This is certainly going to go into the 1 minute 7s, and he goes to provisional pole position by less than a tenth of a second from Leacat, but nevertheless, it's still provisional pole position for the championship leader.
He improved by over a second, so he clearly found some time there. But like we were saying earlier, getting a bank lap in early is good because then you just know what the track is like and you know where you can gain time.
Mm-hmm. Well, Izamado, who's on a flying lap in the Ferrari, one of the Hasses is not, well, it was on a lap of some sort, but it's not very representative. So I want to go back to Izamado, who's just come into the pits, so we'll come away from him. Geno's one of those who's yet to post a lap time in the session. He's on the medium tyres right now, coming through sector 1. It's a 19 dead, which is hard to compare that lap time to the others, really. Got a snap of oversteer as he exited turn 5, or turn 6, I should say, and turn 7. So Geno struggling to get tyre temperature on those mediums, clearly. This is not a good lap so far.
I saw a bit of debris on the exit of turn 8, but I'm not sure that will cause any punches because I think we are on full damage and not simulation.
Mm-hmm. Well, Geno's coming through the DRS zone now on the back straight before the last chicane. There is a Red Bull and a Haas heading into the pits, so he shouldn't be hindered by either of them. Through the last chicane nicely, actually. DRS Open for Geno, and it'll be a 1 minute 9.1. It's not a very quick lap time, to be honest with you. That puts him in 11th place, so I would think we're going to see him on the soft compound for the last moments of qualifying here. Cross Nation on a 19.1 through sector 1. It's not a very quick lap time, and he's got the McLaren, who is in his way a little bit, and I don't know if he's, impeded him on this run. Maybe not have done, but still not ideal.
I'd like to touch on Geno's lap because he obviously made a few mistakes. I reckon that could have cost him 3 to 4 tenths, and obviously if he does go on the soft tyres, that's an even larger gain. So I reckon we could see an improvement from at least a second from him.
Cross Nation's second sector time is much better than he was in the first sector. He got a snap of oversteers. He got the power down coming out of the hairpin, and now he's got the Mercedes of what looks like it's Mike coming through the chicane. Now he might be able to get a toe off the Mercedes who comes down the start finish straight. The line into the last chicane wasn't particularly the greatest. Because it's over the line, he goes 6th fastest.
He turned in a bit too early there, and he had to turn out to make sure he didn't invalidate his lap, and that just costs you time because you're putting too much. Through the tyres, so it's just creating more meters for you to travel.
And Sassy Pickle trying to get a toe off the AlphaTauri, but he's gone into the pits. And that'll be him going on to another set of dry compound. Brian B crossing over the line to start his fine lap. Proved 2003 on not a very quick lap on this one. I think this is his first fine lap of the session, actually, unless he's done a lap before, which ended up being invalidated. He wants to be in the high 40s by the end of sector 2, but it's a 41.4. This is not a quick lap by any means.
Keep an eye on Smike because he is on another lap and he was a 10th up on his middle sector time.
He's entering the last chicane now is the Mercedes driver. It's Mike looking to go back onto the front row, but will he be on provisional pole? He crosses over the line and he does go to provisional pole position by nearly 0.04 of a second from Bratti. So we've got a 10th difference between the top three so far.
It's very close. we may see this in the race, we may not, because obviously some drivers do set up their cars for the race, and others obviously set them up for one lap pace, which could also lead to some horrific tyre wear in long distance. So, I do say from commentating a few weeks ago that no one seemed to hit massive amount of tyre wear. So I think all of them will mostly have set up for the race.
We have whilst you were saying that, Tommy, we have another change of leadership as Leocat goes to the top of the timing pages on a 1 minute 7.7, which was less than a tenth quicker than its Mike. So clearly Track Evolution playing a huge role in qualifying. And just looking to see who else is on a flying lap at the moment. Is Amado a tenth up from his previous best in Sector 1. We've got Iris Flash, who's coming through the last chicane now. Is he going to go up the order? He got a snap of oversteer after riding those curbs, but it's going to be a 1 minute 8.8. It goes up to 9th with that.
I am very surprised by it, Smag, because he was in Division 5 race yesterday I was commentating on, and he of course won that race, but I'm surprised he's doing so well in Div 4.
I'll tell you one driver who's just posted a brilliant lap time is Chris Rock, who's gone 4th fastest on a 1 minute 8.2, so he's pretty much the best of the rest at the moment. I can't really tell if he's on another flying lap. He is, because he's 7,000s up through Sector 1. This is another driver to look out for.
There was debris on the inside there. I'm not sure what that's from. Maybe someone just lost the rear end and broke their front wing, but I wouldn't think it would cause any problems.
Well, it was Poof who hit the barrier. You can see the right-hand side of his front wing is damaged. Brass is not going out for another run, so he will not start the Canadian Grand Prix from pole position.
Oh, Chris Rock got a really bad exit from the hairpin. He just spun up the wheels, obviously got a bit too trigger happy on the throttle.
So he's coming into the last chicane now as Chris Rock. Can he make up for lost time in the last sector here? DRS Open. He's not taking the shorter run to the line, and this is only good enough to put him, well, he stays 4th with that one. It's not a better time than before. Flash has done his session now, so he won't be improving. Sassy Pickles on a flyer, though. I'm
on board with him, and he goes just behind Chris Rock. I was surprised Chris Rock didn't take that shortest run to the line. I reckon it could have gained him some time, but it would have only gained him like half a tenth, or just about a tenth. So it's not the end of the world for him.
No, and Liam is on a fast lap in the Ferrari. We've got 20 seconds to go. My goodness me, this qualifying session's flown by. Liam, 10th fastest at the moment on the soft components, a 1 minute 8.9. Can he go in front of Flash with this time here? Gets through the last chicane, DRS Open. And it's a 1 minute 8.9. It's better, but it's not good enough to see him go up the order. Pellegrini has just started his last flying lap just as the checker flag is about to come out. So he'll be able to do this last run. Genu's not on a fast lap than before, so he's pretty much done. I think Liam may be on another flying lap here, and he's doing better than what he's done previously. So I think other than him, it's Mike who we need to have a look at. He's the one to look out for, Tommy. He could well be
Pellegrini hit the wall. I think he might have damaged his front wing, but I didn't see any debris come off. But I think he's just invalidated. Yeah, he has. I was surprised by Liam not taking the shortest run to the line, as we saw with Chris Rock. So maybe some of these drivers aren't really thinking about their lines. They're just driving.
So we've got Liam, who will be coming into the chicane now to complete his final flying lap. Where is this going to put him? Can he go ahead of Flash this time with this run? And the answer is no.
Mike's really aced that last chicane. I reckon he's going to put it on pole here.
And Mike's done it. It's Mike on provisional pole position by less than 100th of a second, but Leocat is going even faster through Sector 2. So he's the last one to go over the line now, and this should perhaps put him on provisional pole position. What's happened here?
Backed out of
it. So he will not start from pole position. So it's Mike who raced in the Division 5 race last night, will start from pole position for the Canadian Grand Prix. Izamado going up to 7th in the Ferrari with that last effort. But what an interesting qualifying session there, Tommy.
Yeah, indeed. I was surprised by Smite's pace because even though he won the Div 5 race.
Seems to have lost you there, Tommy, for a moment. But run down on the grid. It's Mike is on provision.
Disconnected.
Okay, it's Mike is on pole position. It's Learcat alongside him. Then we've got Bratty and Chris Rock on row 2, Sussy Pickle and Ray on row 3. Then it's Izamado and Cross Nation on row 4. Brian and Flash are on row 5 with Liam and Pellegrini next up on row 6. Genu and Samor make up 13th and 14th places. Proof didn't get a lap time in. Neither did Vivek or John.
Yeah, I'm surprised. As I was saying, I was surprised by Smake's pace because he was just he was very quick in the Div 5 race, but he's coming to Div 4 obviously with faster drivers, and he's absolutely smashed it. Only 9 thousandths to second place, but he's absolutely smashed it. I'm not sure if I was entirely accurate with my memory of yesterday's qualifying session of the lap times there, but he seems to have the pace to do it in both divisions.
Mm-hmm. We've got sunshine all around the Circuit Shield Villeneuve. Will it stay like that for the whole race? Should we need the intermediates or the wets? But my prediction is that it's going to be an all dry race, and this is very much where race strategy very much comes into it. Now the top 10 all set their fastest times on the soft compound, so by Parc Fermé rules, they have to start the race on the same set of tyres.
Forgive me if my memory is wrong yet again, but I don't think Smike even started on pole yesterday for the Div 5 race. I think he just managed his strategy really well, and he managed to pass second and third place in that race. So we should see some fantastic race pace from him if he can keep it together.
Mm-hmm. We're less than 15 seconds away from the start of the formation lap. Drivers completing their last-minute tyre and fuel setups. And I think we're going to be in for a very, very compelling Canadian Grand Prix. Then it's an opportunity to find out who is starting on what tyre compound. And the top 10, as I've already mentioned, starting on the soft. Then it's the next 5 on the mediums, and then Vivek and John on the hards.
Yeah, I said yesterday in the Div 5 race that weaving is really pointless on the formation lap of this game because the game just cuts to a cutscene and it gives everyone the same tyre temperature. So I don't see the point of it. I don't see anyone really weaving or whatever. But yeah, as I said, and as the predicted pit stop strategy comes up. It's a 2-stop, but those on the hards could possibly make it a 1-stop. As we see, I think 2 people are on the hards.
The amount of time you do lose in the pits on this circuit is rather minimal. So the 2-stop strategy could be the better strategy. And if we do get a safety car as well, that'll most certainly throw another spice into the mix.
Well, yesterday in the Div 5 race, second and third on track, had that hard strategy with a 1-stop. So Smake, who won the race, had a fantastic because there was a few safety cars. He had a fantastic drive, but he got very lucky with his timing with the safety cars and managed to catch the 2 ahead of him on the mediums and pass them. So he had much fresher mediums than their hards.
So it's Mike leading the field onto the grid. As you mentioned, we didn't see that much weaving during the course of the formation. I think the drivers were just desperate to get this race underway. And who are you tipping for victory, Tommy?
Looking at his pace, I put Smike.
Okay. Well, anything can happen here. Bratton was thinking more about the championship. Learcat has a golden opportunity to catch Halaquendi and Ryderdale in the battle for second place, with them not racing here today. So everyone is on the grid now. The 5 red lights come on. When they extinguish, we'll be racing here in Canada. And we tend to get this glitch in the United Racing League, and we're just waiting for the cars to move away off the grid. It's lights out, and away we go. Learcat gets off the line better than it's Mike, and I think Brazzi's fancying a go down the inside into turn 1, and Chris Rock almost getting in on the act, but it's his teammate Learcat who leads coming out of turn 2. Then it's Mike in second, and in third place is Sassy Pickle in the Haas. He's made a brilliant getaway. Then it's Brazzi in fourth, followed by Izamado in fifth, then Chris Rock down to sixth place, and we've got the second racing point of Ray ahead of Brian, Flash and Cross Nation rounding up the top 10 as they come through turn 5 for the first time. Everyone seems to be getting through it cleanly, and we've got a Rebel down the inside of Ferrari. That's Pellegrini making up ground side by side with the Ferrari. Oh, and Liam's in the wall. Liam in the wall in the Ferrari, pointing the wrong way, and he's going to need to come back into the pits for a front wing replacement, but Learcat getting the getaway he needed.
Indeed, he did, but Chris Rock just got far too aggressive, and I didn't see the incident there with Liam, so I can't comment on that, but Chris Rock just got far too aggressive on the outside brake, a little bit too late, similar to Fernando Alonso in 2007 at this track, and just had to, although not as extreme, just had to run off wide a little bit.
So the driver's coming around to complete the first lap. It's Mike all over the gearbox of Learcat as he tries to make up for lost time at the start. He's going to the outside as they end lap 1. Round the outside into turn 1, it's Mike goes, and he's through back into the lead as he gets his elbows out into turn 2. It's Mike getting the job done brilliantly, and that was without DRS.
Fantastic move. He's really going for it. He is proving why he is very quick, well, why he won the Div 5 race yesterday, and he's taking it to these Div 4 guys.
So it's Mike getting a good job there. We've just had the first couple of time penalties being dished out. John has picked up what I believe is a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits too many times, and Samar seemingly has been given the same penalty. Liam's in the pits for front wing damage. He'll have to hope for a safety car later on in the race. And I think, considering we've only got 17 drivers competing in this one, there's a good chance that Liam may come away with a point or two.
Yeah, well, I don't know how quick Liam can be, but Bratti is right on the back of Sassy Pickle, but he doesn't seem to have the legs on it. He might have to wait till DRS, and he doesn't want to take a risk because he is thinking about that championship lead.
And someone's picked up damage.
Liam.
I think that's
Liam's crashed us again.
Yeah, Liam's crashed again, but what I was going to say is the race leader hit the wall of champions on the exit of turn 13, and he's got damage to the right-hand side of his front wing, so he's going to struggle with understeer, and that's going to allow Learcat to close in. But I suppose the convenient thing is for him is because he started on the soft tyres, he's going to be coming into the pits sooner than those on the mediums and the hards. So this may not be all lost, but it's certainly not ideal at this stage.
Indeed, indeed.
So Learcat will be hoping to get in front of him with DRS as it has now been enabled. And further behind, we've got a battle for third place between the Haas of Sassy Pickle and the racing point of Bratti. Bratti going to the outside as they enter turn 10. Bratti trying to do the switchback, or thought about doing the switchback on the exit of turn 10. But Learcat now using his DRS to good effect to go past It's Mike and take the lead here as Bratti's also got past Sassy Pickle in the background. He's got through. So we've got 2 changes of position within the top 4.
I wasn't paying attention for the Learcat and Smite, but it seems to me this could be a ding-dong battle throughout the race.
It most certainly will be so, and I think the longer It's Mike stays out, the more he'll drop behind Learcat, so he will have to perhaps think about a change of strategy to help rescue his race. Bratti will be so desperate to get in front of him. Well, I say so desperate, he just needs to make sure he gets as many points as possible in his quest for the title.
Well, Smike had some excellent pace, but he might have just worn out his tyres a little bit too early, and that could be costing him some pace right now.
So the top 3 still within a second of each other, and it's Mike now getting a time penalty. You can understand why he was pushing high, because he knew that he'll lose grip as he's lost part of his front wing, and the fact he's turning more sharply has resulted in getting a time penalty for his misdemeanour. But it's Mike has got DRS as he approaches the rear of Learcat as they go onto the back straight for the 4th time in Canada. Into the slipstream, Learcat has it covered, and Learcat parking his car on the apex very nicely. As yeah, it's Mike coming into the pits. I'm not at all surprised, to be honest with you, Tommy. He does need that change of front wing, and he's going on to a set of mediums. So we could well see it's Mike making 2 stops in this race. Well, it's almost certain he'll be doing 2 stops.
Forgive me for not noticing, but I didn't see that he had front wing damage. So yeah, I just thought he was going for alternate strategy.
Cross Nation also in the pits for a change of tyres. He's gone onto the mediums now. So it's Mike will rejoin in 15th place. Leacat out in front, but Bratti up to 2nd as he uses his DRS to close in on the Williams. It doesn't need to send one too soon, especially at this point in the race. But Leacat will know this is pretty much a repeat of Monza last time out when they were fighting for the lead all the way through the race.
I'm looking at Baratti's results here, and other than one off 6th place, he has been pretty consistent. With even if he doesn't have the pace to win, it seems that he puts himself in the positions that he wants, and he doesn't go for the move on Leacat for some reason. Maybe he just wants DRS again.
Well, either that, or he's thinking further ahead in the race. It is lap 5 after all, as they've completed it now, so there's still a long way to go yet. There's no point for him. Oh, someone's in the wall. It's the other Williams of Chris Rock, who has hit the wall and he's got damage to his front wing.
I did not see that. I was looking at the front battle. I seem to be missing a lot of things at the moment. But yeah, he isn't out of the race, and I'm looking. He hasn't damaged his front wing entirely. He's only lost the right-hand side of it, so he should pit, obviously, but it's not the complete end of the world as he goes over the grass there.
No, but he's going to lose a lot of time through the corners. I mean, I think 70% of the lap here in Montreal is full throttle, and you need a lot of speed coming out of the corners as well. And I think for Chris Rock, if I was him, I'd be ducking into the pits for a change of front wing at this stage, as his soft tyres are now 5 laps old, and they'll be coming towards the end of their life. And Leacat swerving across, I'm not sure what that is all about. We saw that in qualifying, didn't we? As Bratti goes through into the lead, is Leacat playing games here and maybe thinking about wanting to get DRS?
Possibly, but I don't see why he was weaving, because Bratti actually, because there is the detection zone on this track, works for both straights, so if that was his thinking, it was a little bit flawed, because there's only one detection zone for those 2 straights.
So Flash coming into the pits for a change of tyres. We could just see Proof going past the AlphaTauri of Samod to go up into 9th place. Liam getting a time penalty as well. Chris Rock into the pits for a change of front wing. I'm not at all surprised with that, and he'll fold to the back of the field. But there's still a long way to go yet, and plenty of time for everything to change in this one. Sassy Pickle doing a fine job in 3rd place. Well, I say that, he's just made a mistake coming out of turn 7, and that's allowed Izamado to close back in on him.
Yeah, I'm looking at this battle as well, and he seems to get great exits, Sassy Pickle, which is obviously a key to being fast, as Pelaguay gets a 3-second time penalty. He will not be happy with that, but there hasn't been as many penalties as there was yesterday in the Div 5 race, but those came later on, so I would expect to see people getting penalties later on.
Well, Izamado using the DRS massively as the Haas of Sassy Pickle comes into the pits. I wonder if Sassy Pickle picked up damage as he came out of turn 7. We'll have to wait and see. There may not be another front wing ready for him, so it could just well be a quick change of tyres for him. And indeed it is. So Sassy Pickle wanted to get rid of those softs. Now he goes onto the mediums. Can he trouble the races and maybe potentially complete an undercut? Someone
Ray got past Izumano while you were talking about the pit stops there. Sorry for interrupting you there, but I was just looking at that battle, and yeah, Ray just seemed to get a better exit.
So Ray in front of Izamado for 3rd position. That is a change of position genuinely, so Ray doing very well in this one. And also we have our first retirement of the race as Vivek stops in the pits for Mercedes, and he's out of his first race in the Division 4 category this season.
Leacat still hounding Bratti, so these two look to have very similar pace. So it could be a battle all race long, as I hear it was in Monza.
So Leacat putting Bratti under pressure, and Bratti now getting a time penalty for exceeding track limits too many times. Leacat, I don't want to say he's determined to get in front yet. He's determined to stay in touch with him, As Ray and Izumoto come into the pit lane together. This could be a battle of the pit crews.
He got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
So, thank you for spotting that for me, Tommy, as Izumoto stays behind the Mercedes. We can see a move there as the sole surviving Mercedes of It's Mike picking off cars one by one to put himself back up into 7th place on his medium compound. He's got 7 seconds to make up on Samar, so this is a good opportunity for him to fight his way back. And I think, believe it or not, if Bratti and Learcat were to pit now, It's Mike may be able to get in front of him.
Well, he just seems to have great pace. I didn't, obviously, like I said earlier, I didn't see him getting front wing damage, but I reckon he'd be in a very good position without having that front wing damage earlier on in the race.
Well, he definitely picked up front wing damage, I could tell, because debris flew off his car after he hit the Wall of Champions. One driver up into 3rd place now is Genu, who started the race on the medium compound. So only Learcat and Bratti, who have started the race on the SOS, have yet to come in. But they're going to go on a longer first stint, as you can imagine so, as they've got a clear track in front of them.
It does say that the pit window is open for soft tyres. There's a yellow flag for, I believe it's Chris Rock.
Yep, and he's lost the whole front wing of his, so that'll be him back into the pits again. And what a messy race he has had so far in this one.
Yeah, I just noticed that on the track map. But at this point, I'd say Learcat is in a very good position considering Bratti has got that penalty, as Brian B also gets a penalty. But Learcat doesn't really have anything to lose. Maybe he wants to get that 2nd place in the championship for that battle that he's in. But Bratti just wants to bring home points. He knows he's in a good position, and I don't think he's going to take any risks fighting with Learcat.
And Chris Rock has stopped in the pits and he's out of the race, so at least he's come back into the pits and retired there rather than stopping out on the racetrack, as that could have affected the race. But we've got Bratti in the pits now, so this is an opportunity for him to, well, try and keep hold of the lead, but I think it's going to end up behind It's Mike, who's flying on the medium compound.
I'm going to keep an eye on that. A little pit lane battle as absolutely nails that last corner. That's where he really gains a lot of his time. I'm going to try and see where Bratti is. He's coming out the pit lane now. It's going to be close.
It's going to be close, but It's Mike has just completed an undercut after pitting 6 laps earlier than Bratti. He's got himself in front, but his tyres are going to be, well, they're in their optimum window still at the moment, but they're going to start falling away soon as Bratti's tyres come back into life.
I was about to say, yeah, his tyres will be a little bit older, but it's an interesting strategy because this was not this race is not panning out like the Div 5 race yesterday, so he can't use the same strategy that he was, where pitting under the safety car gave him a massive advantage with his tyres.
And another driver's just stopped in the pits and retiring is Liam in the Ferrari. He becomes the 3rd retirement so far in this race. So we're down to 14 runners in this Canadian Grand Prix. But guess what? They're all close to each other. And we could see, well, any of them inside the top 10 by the end of this one.
Yeah, indeed. Bratti has got DRS on Smake, but he's not going to risk it, I don't think. I think he's just looking for that championship.
Yeah, well, he wants to get on with it, really, because he knows he's in the fight with Learcat as well. Goes to the inside of It's Mike on the start-finish straight, and that's him going up into 5th place as they go into turn 1. Parts the car nicely as well, so that It's Mike cannot retaliate.
The fresh tyres really coming in handy there as Smike gets a bit of oversteer in the background. But look how quickly he's on the back of the AlphaTauri ahead of him.
Yeah, and Bratti knows he's in a much... Well, he's got tyres that have better life at the moment than the AlphaTauri. In fact, the top 4 have not yet pitted in this race, who have started on the medium. Samo is one of them, who of which is now passed by Bratti, who goes up into 4th position. It's Mike trying to get on the inside as well. He gets through, but pays a price as well as he picks up a time penalty of 3 seconds.
Why is Learcat so far behind, I'm wondering?
Did
he just hit a cliff on those tyres? Because he pitted the lap after Bratti, and he's come out not miles behind, but definitely further than I expected him to come out.
Well, he's behind Sassy Pickle, who has managed to complete an undercut on him. So Learcat has lost out, by staying out too long on his set of softs as Proof comes into the pits for McLaren to go onto a set. What looks like, is that a set of the hard tyres going on? No, it's another set of the mediums. So Proof going on another quite long second stint before he needs to pit in for the softs before the end.
Some great driving from Smake again to get himself in a battle for the lead, even though he might not be able to keep himself in it for long because of those tyres being slightly older. But if there's a safety car, whatever, he could keep himself in the fight like he did yesterday with some good strategy. And also, I believe if he can take those tyres quite far, he could actually make it the same, around about the same, like as the other two in the fight.
I'm going to have to interrupt you there because we just had two drivers go past the AlphaTauri at the same time as Learcat has now got in front of Sassy Pickle. But the trouble that Learcat is going to have, although having said that, Learcat's got DRS, so Learcat getting in front of Sassy Pickle now on the fresher tyres as Pellegrini comes into the pits to get rid of those medium tyres. That pushes or allows Bratti and Nitzmite to go up into second, third places. Learcat up to fourth, Sassy Pickle now fifth. Janu is the only driver left in this race who have started on the mediums to come into the pit lane to change tyres.
Indeed. I'm just looking at the gaps and Bratti's pulling away, so he's got some excellent pace. Obviously, he does have 6 laps fresher tyres than Smite behind him, but Learcat does have the freshest tyres out of the 3 of them. So if that counts towards the end, because tyre wear around here, but it's a rear limited circuit, it could become crucial as punches yesterday were a real risk for some of the runners.
So Janu is the race leader at the moment, just under 5 seconds ahead of Bratti, who's second. I think Janu's going to try and take those tyres as far as he can before he chooses to come in. He doesn't pit in this lap, which is understandable. He's probably thinking about going onto a set of the hard tyres. But is he going to try and stretch it out before he goes onto a set of softs? Because it's going to be very brave of him to do so.
That hard strategy is, in my opinion, a very good one because it seemed to work yesterday. And I am bringing up yesterday about Smike's driving in Division 5 and just Division 5, but it is a very similar way the race is panning out apart from the safety car. So, and there was quite a few safety cars yesterday, so and everyone's been surprisingly clean, as Sassy Pickle does get a 3-second time penalty, but Janu doesn't seem to be losing in that much time considering he's on 10 lap older tyres to Bratti behind.
I mean, Janu is he's continuing to pull away. The gap is shrinking, but not as quickly as we thought it would be. So Janu managing his tyres really, really well at this stage of the race. And I think as the fuel does burn down, you're not having to put as much load into the tyres. Therefore, you're not losing as much grip by doing that. But Janu's done brilliantly to play the long game and take his Alfa Romeo to the front. He comes
coming
into the
in
pits.
now.
Yeah, he's coming in now. Gets the car slowed down. It's an 80-kilometre pit lane speed limit here in Montreal. But Janu will probably go onto the set of the hard tyres. So he is going to do a one-stop strategy here, Tommy.
Yeah, that strategy, as I said, panned out very well in the Division 5 race, as I have mentioned many a time already. He goes down to 9th, though, and he won't have the outright pace due to being on those hard tyres, but he will have the advantage of track position later on, which isn't too important around here, as Smite yesterday did make passes for the lead. So I think it still could be a very, very close race up to the top.
So race order, Bratti leads ahead of Itzmike in second place, and it's Learcat third, the only driver of the top 6 to not have a time penalty at the moment. Then it's Sassy Pickle in fourth, ahead of Ray, Brian, Izamadu, Flash, Janu, who's now down to 9th after pitting for the hard tyres, but we expect him to be going to the end, so he could well be in play for the race victory. Cross Nation is in the final points paying position in 10th place.
We're on lap 16, which isn't too far into the race, but I would have thought to see a safety car by now, as it is quite a circuit. But there has been incidents, but the safety car just hasn't been called out, not even a virtual. So strategy is a bit limited compared to what it could be with safety cars. So I do believe we will see one eventually, though. Commentator's curse, though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's Mike who's been on the mediums for 12 laps now. He's on his 13th lap on those sets of mediums, so he probably will be coming into the pits again. And if he's going to be pitting, you'd think it's going to be the soft tyres, don't you? Or is it going to be a set of the mediums?
I was just keeping an eye. Sorry, I wasn't really listening because I was keeping an eye on this battle between Leocat as he's closed up Smite. But yeah, as Ray gets a penalty, I think he's got quite a few, hasn't he?
Ray, with his time penalty so far, he's on 8 seconds worth of time penalty, and so is Bratti actually. So I think the next time there is an algorithm within the game where if you picked up 5 seconds for like speeding the pit lane, then you'll be able to take that 5 seconds at your next pit stop, which could hamper Bratti a little bit actually. But It's Mike has got 6 seconds worth. Now, both of those time penalties, well, the time penalties of which It's Mike has been accumulated was by exceeding track limits.
Yeah, I think because Bratti with the 5 second time penalty, it will be annoying to have it at the pit stop, but it will be easier to claw back the time than just paying attention to a delta of trying to get a 5 second gap.
Well, this is the closest battle we've got at the moment. Flash in 8th and Genu in 9th. Now, if Genu does not get a time penalty at all in this race, he could well be a contender for the race victory, which is not something we thought about seeing him getting anywhere near close to a race victory here today. He did start outside the top 10 on the grid, I believe. He came in round 5 in Austria, where he's finished second. He's also finished second at Spa, so we could well see him on the podium again here today, but he needs to start picking off some of these cars as he's about to lose time behind that Haas.
He does indeed, who is on 11 lap medium tyres, so won't put up as much of a fight as maybe some of the ones up ahead, but they are all quite old mediums up ahead, like decently aged, so I don't think it will be an easy ride quite as much as I said comparatively, because they're not really on too much of a tyre delta compared to Flash as he gets past.
Yeah, so Genu.
Yeah,
so Genu getting past as Sassy picks up another 3 seconds worth of time penalty, as does Brian. So penalties are continuing to be dished out to these drivers, which could end up changing the final results come the end of the 35 laps. Genu's got a bit of ground to make up now on Izamado, who's 3 seconds ahead.
Leocat within 7/10 of Mike again. I know I'm probably bottling his name so far, but as I was yesterday. But yeah, this is battle for the top position. So this is what I've been keeping tabs on, and it just looks like Mike is just as fast as all the bits he needs to be to keep ahead. But I don't think Leocat is really using the ERS as much as Mike, so maybe that could be an explanation why Ismite is staying a bit ahead.
So Leocat, even with DRS, is not able to find a way past Mike, and I say it's hampering his chances, but he's not got a time penalty to his name, so he may not have that much to worry about. We can see Genu continuing to close in on Izamado, but the gap is only 2.6 seconds, so he's only taken about half a second away from his margin on this lap alone.
Yeah, as I said yesterday in Division 5, as I mentioned earlier, that penalties decided between 2nd, 3rd and 4th yesterday, so this could be, if he keeps within 8 seconds of Bratti, he could even be in the position to win this race.
So Leocat within half a second of him, which means that he can use his DRS when they get onto the back straight before the final chicane. So it's Mike and Leocat coming through turn 10. And through 11 they go, and this is an opportunity for Leocat to get the job done here, but he's too far back to have a go on this occasion. He may be able to get into the slipstream of It's Mike for when they go through the last chicane together, and It's Mike is in, so Leocat doesn't need to worry about him for now. He just needs to go after Bratti.
Yeah, he was using a lot less energy than Smike. Smike, I checked, was on 1%, whereas Leocat was on 70%, so it wasn't too big of a wasn't being used too much by Leocat. So I think he just has the outright pace to stay with him as he can now go chasing after Barati.
Well, you mentioned that it's Mike had to change his front wing again as he picked up more damage. So it's another change of front wing for him. So it's Mike losing more time in this race now. Leocat has got Cleo ahead of him in second place. Then we've got Sassy Pickle ahead of Ray. Then it's Brian, Izamadu, Genu, who's now 7th, 1.9 seconds behind the Ferrari driver as they come through turn 8.
Well, as you mentioned, he had front wing damage, so that could be an explanation why he was using so much ERS, just to keep himself ahead, because he was lacking overall pace due to the front wing damage. So, and if he hadn't damaged his front wing, maybe he would be taking it to Barati, because he's damaged it twice now, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's the second front wing replacement he's had to have made. And Sassy Pickle in the pits for Haas. I'm not sure if he's going to be stopping in his box to save any penalties. I think he's just going to be a quick change of tyres, so he'll be taking the 6 seconds at the end of this race. So he's out on his way now on his final set of mediums. That should see him to the end. Now he just needs to go at it like clockwork.
You just need to have qualifying laps after qualifying laps if you want to jump people around here. So Leocat really needs to focus here, because he could... I think he will jump Smite because of the front wing damage and the front wing change. But I don't think he's going to really close up on Barati. Barati just seems to have that outright pace.
But there's no doubt that Barati and Leocat will be going into the pits before the end of this race. Well, say that. Leocat's tyres are only 10 laps old. Maybe he could try and get to the end of the race if he wanted to. But Genu's going to be on better tyres than those guys. He's continuing to close in on Izamadu. So Genu's tyres are going to be falling into his window as those on the mediums ahead of him are going to start falling away.
Well, if I'm looking at the gap between him and the leader, which is Barati, is 18.8 seconds, which I think is slightly more than what a pit stop is worth around here. But I could be wrong, because I'm not too sure. Smite does set the fastest lap at 1:10.3, but what tyres is Smite on? He is on.
He's on mediums, is Mike. Yeah, he's on mediums. He's just posted a new fastest up of the race as well. Has the Mercedes driver is coming down the inside of Cross Nation as they go through turn 6. Cross Nation continuing to lock up, and that allows the Mercedes to go through. And now he's about to lose position to the Red Bull of Pellegrini. So Cross Nation really struggling now on his medium tyres. Pellegrini trying to find a way through, and that opens the door for Sassy Pickle to pull alongside and go past him. And that tells you everything about being on 18 lap old mediums.
18 laps is very good on for the medium tyres. I would expect them to be in puncture range window, because that is a lot of laps around this track on medium tyres.
Well, it's Mike has just got past the Haas of Flash to go up into 6th position. Cross Nation in the pits now for Renault. I think he's given up the fact that his tyres are no longer wanting to do any more work. He goes on to a set of softs. And he's just got to hope that incidents ahead of him come his way and he can get back into a points paying position. But Genu now 1.2 seconds behind Izamadu and closing in on him. So he's 19 seconds off the lead, if not a little bit more than that is Genu, which I'm not so sure that's going to be enough for him to put himself in contention for the victory. But there's still a long way to go yet as Sassy Pickle pulls alongside Flash to put his Haas up into 7th place on much fresher tyres than his teammate.
You touched on Genu not being enough for the lead, but he does have a legitimate gap over his mate, because remember, they both probably on their last pit stop and probably both going to the end. Smike has to do this on track if he wants to, as a yellow flag. I think it's a McLaren.
It's proof he's gone for a spin, and he's got damage to his front wing as well, so he's had a really wretched race as one of the reserve drivers for this evening. He's got going again, so he should not need a virtual safety car or a safety car. As Ray comes into the pits for a change of tyres, goes onto a set of softs, so he'll be going to the end Flash also in for Haas. He'll probably go into another set of softs as well.
Yeah, so as I was saying, Smike does have to catch him, but he is catching by quite a bit a lap. So I don't think we'll see Genu putting up too much of a defence. But maybe Smike tyres, because he has been on them for only 4 laps, but compared to Bratti and Leocat, who will be pitting later and have fresher tyres, I don't think he'll have the pace to catch them.
Well, what about Genu? Because he's on hard tyres. They've done 9 laps, but they can definitely go a lot further than those on the mediums. Locks up as he enters through turn 10. And the important thing for him is that he's got ahead of Izamado on track. So he's given himself a little bit of a buffer now from It's Mike, as Izamado can now use his DRS to close back in on the Alfa Romeo. Now, he is closing in, but I don't think that he's going to try and have a go on him again. No, he's not. He's staying behind this time.
Didn't. I don't think they want to take a risk at this point in time, all the drivers, because they're nearing the end of the race. They just want to either hold position, or they're looking forward to the later battles. As always, a man who has a massive tank slapper on the exit of turn 2. So, and that's due to being on those tyres for 17 laps. So I would assume he's going to pit for possibly soft tyres, because I reckon those could make the distance.
So It's Mike on the back of Izamado. It's important that he gets by him as soon as he can, really. And he goes to the outside as they enter turn 8. Does he get the job done there? No, he can't. Izamado taking his line as he's entitled to, and that's going to allow It's Mike to fall behind again. And he's probably going to get the job done on the DRS zone as they come up to it now.
There hasn't been a lot on-track battles, but there has been a lot of battles in regards to the Delta and just keeping track of that as Izamado squeezes Smike. But that was very similar yesterday as to the Division 5 race. There was some differences between the races, of course.
There's an incident. Izamado hit the back of It's Mike. Sorry, Tommy, but Izamado ran into the back of It's Mike as he tried to enter the pit lane to get rid of those medium tyres. It was a very bizarre incident as he ducked into the pit lane.
As Bratti's just come out ahead on the soft tyres of Smike. So, yeah, Bratti made it work, and he's on softer tyres, so he will be able to extend that gap, most likely. But I was just saying how the races have turned out to be very similar. We're looking at a lot of battles on the Delta, not the track, other than obviously, and I was about to say there hasn't been as many incidents as Izumano went into the back of Smike, but there's still not been a safety car like I predicted earlier. So yeah, there is a thing on this game where it either comes out too much or too little. So yeah, it could be one of those classic glitches you get on the F1 games.
Yeah, and despite getting ahead of him, I mean, Bratti stopped for 5 seconds before the pit crew served him, so that's some of his penalty out of the way now for Bratti. So what he needs to do, as Leocat is going to try and go to the end of this race, presumably. I mean, this is going to be a very intense finish, but I have to say that Leocat is the favourite to win this one. Yeah, Pellegrini facing the wrong way on the exit of turn 9 in the Red Bull. Gets going again as he got damage. I think he may well have done, but he's on his way again.
I think Leocat is trying. I don't think he is trying to go to the end, because I don't think those tyres could make the distance. And I reckon if he is trying, they will hit a cliff, and Bratti will get him anyway. Because look, he's coming down.
So Leocat determined. I think he's going to try and. I don't know. I mean, the highest number of laps we've seen any driver do on the mediums is 19 in this race. He's on his 17th lap on the mediums, is Leocat, so he could well be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. No, he's not. He's staying out. So Leocat trying to stretch out these tyres as far as they can. Maybe in the case of if there's like a safety car or something, he can then just pop into the pits, get a set of soft tyres on, and protect track position and the race lead. As Bratti is determined to catch up back to him, as It's Mike has now got past Genu for 3rd place.
You can't really count on a safety car too often, though, because if your plan doesn't pan out, it could lead you at a massive disadvantage to other drivers who haven't planned for the safety car.
And whilst Leocat's tyres may be going away, it won't be too long before Bratti's does as well, because I think once you've done 6 or 7 laps on these soft tyres, that's very much when they start falling away from you. Samor pits for AlphaTauri to go on a set of the soft compound. There's no problem with him going to the end of the race on those.
Yeah, I'm just on board with Bratti and looking at the gap as well to Leocat, and he's come down within, I think it's been 2.5 seconds on that lap alone. But he might hit tyre wear, because I have been doing a few races on this game recently on Grand Prix, and I did a very similar strategy, although around Baku, to what Bratti has done, and the tyres just wore out extremely quickly on the soft tyres within like 6 or 7 laps.
So Bratti coming through the last corner now, and the thing is, even if Bratti was to get in front of Leocat, he would need to open up a 3-second lead on him in order to win this race. So Leocat, for me, is the favourite to win this race.
I was about to mention that as well. Yeah, I did. But like 3 seconds, if the gap keeps coming down the way it is, I could see Bratti opening that gap, although Leocat has seemed to responded this lap. It's a yellow flag.
That's so one. Who's that? It's just spun round. Is that? It's Pellegrini. Pellegrini spun, and we've got a safety car. So your prediction was right after all, Tommy. Pellegrini has lost it on the. Well, he's lost it just before turn 5, actually. Oh, and Jan's just hit the rebel as he goes past it. Now, does Leocat pit in and go on a set of soft tyres?
I think he has to.
I think he's going to have to, because otherwise, by the time the safety car restart gets underway, he's going to be a sitting duck to those on fresher tyres.
Yeah, I did say that there would be a safety car, and because I am a big brain genius,
no, he stayed out.
It has happened.
Yep.
I wouldn't agree with that strategy personally.
No, I think Leocat has. I think that he was more conscious about the gap, and the thing is, if he had come in, I think he's more bothered about keeping all the track position. Now it's Mike is coming into the pits to change tyres. Who else is going to make their way into the pit lane? Well, no one else at the moment. So it's Mike.
This hasn't worked very well for Genu.
No, it hasn't. He's on hard tyres at the moment. They've done, well, a considerable number of laps, actually. So, could he have come into the pits as well?
I don't want to say that Leocat's dropped the ball there, but I don't see why he stayed out. Like, even if he lost a place to Bratti or even Genu, he has the overall pace on Genu, and Bratti does have that 3-second time penalty, as we previously mentioned.
Yeah, and there's a lot of drivers who have got time penalties to their names as well. Bratti's got 3 seconds worth, Sassy Pickle's got 9, Ray's got 6, It's Mike's got 9 seconds worth, Cross Nation's got 3, Flash has got 3, Izamadu hasn't got any at the moment, so he could be pretty much the gainer of all gainers in this one. To potentially put himself in the frame for a top 5 finish, depending on how long the safety car stays out there for, though.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get a penalty for running into the back of Smite earlier, because usually this game does deliver penalties for that. But yeah, it should be interesting these last few laps. It does also depend how long the safety car stays out for, because Genu will want for it to stay out as long as possible, whereas the ones who've changed onto the soft tyres for this stint, specifically like Smike, will want it to come in as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, the safety car is staying out for another lap. You can just see Flash and Izamado trying to get themselves, catching themselves back up. Now, did Izamado come into the pits for a change of tyres? No, he didn't, actually. Which is a bit surprising because he's done 5 laps on those already. He's coming up to the back of the field now. Now the only cars behind him on the road are Brian and Zamor. Proof and John are a lap down. So, I mean, it depends if the safety car.
On Proof, he unlapped himself earlier, I do believe, and now he's in the back of the pack. So this has turned out brilliantly to save his race. If he could gain a few positions, he could salvage some points out of this.
Well, Proof is on soft tyres. They've done 6 laps, so I actually highly doubt that he's going to be able to gain a lot from this. Now, whose race is this to lose now, do you reckon?
I reckon it's Bratti's.
I couldn't agree with you more. Bratti is on a time penalty of 3 seconds. Will the safety car be coming in at the end of this lap? It doesn't look as though it will be. So I wonder if those who are towards the back end of the queue will consider going on another set of soft tyres to see out the end of the race. Now, particularly if you're... Oh, no, it is coming in.
this lap.
Yep, so we're going to be in for a 3-lap shootout for this Canadian Grand Prix.
A bit like in Baku, although that was a 2-lap shootout, it could be very... We could see some position shuffling here.
Yeah, and Learcat will be determined to keep those cars behind. He does not have a time penalty, remember, so he's got an opportunity to try and pull away to begin with. Oh, we've got a spinner in the wall.
Oh!
We've got a car in the wall. We've got the... Is that Jenny who's gone into the wall? I think it is. Poof didn't realise that Jenny was there, and Jenny's fallen down the wall with that front wing damage. Terrible, terrible luck for him, but we've still got a battle for the lead as Bratti is determined to get in front of him, but he's thinking more about the championship right now.
Yeah, I thought Puff was at the back of the field, so perhaps I was wrong because he seemed to be still lapped. But yeah, that's not. As Bratti is going for it up the inside of Learcat, will he take the risk?
He's going over the curves, and Bratti getting better drive out of turn 9. He's through into the lead. Is Bratti now? He's not out of the woods yet, as Learcat needs to stay within 3 seconds of him to win this race, but he's got to be careful because he's got Sassipickle behind him.
How much more traction Bratti has.
Yeah, you can tell that's the difference of having new tyres on in comparison to drivers behind him. It's Michael be fancying a go on Sassipickle because he was one of those that did pit under the safety car, so he needs to get on with this really because he's got a 9-second time penalty.
Yeah, indeed. Learcat isn't losing too much to Bratti though. He's only got 2 laps to get that gap up, Bratti does. So I say Learcat, if he can keep this pace up, could put himself in the positions to still win this.
Yeah, and Genu into the pits for Alfa Romeo.
Learcat has got himself a penalty.
Yes, and Learcat's got a 3-second time penalty now for exceeding track limits. So you have to say Bratti's in position to win this race as Genu into the pits.
Cursed.
Yeah, into the pits and out of the race goes Genu. No points for him today. He'll still be classified as a finisher. He has completed 90% of the race distance, but he'll be very gutted with that error. I wonder who ran into the back of him on the restart, who was actually behind him, because I think Sassipickle and It's Mike were behind him before he had that collision into the barrier. As It's Mike goes,
to make contact there.
Yeah, he's got himself through into 3rd place on the road, has It's Mike, but the Haas is still within a car's length alongside him, so this is going to be a drag race.
They're both going to have a go at Learcat.
Yeah, Learcat will be engulfed as they come into the last chicane. It's Mike side by side with the Haas of Sassipickle. Sassipickle going over the curbs, and that's going to allow Ray to go past into 4th position as Samuel gets a time penalty for exceeding track limits. We're now on the last lap of this race. Bratti with a 3-second time penalty, still on course to win this race. Learcat in 2nd. It's Mike 3rd, Ray 4th, Sassipickle in 5th. And I think with those time penalties, Cross Nation is going to go to the podium.
That could be a massive game for Cross Nation. Considering he's only in 6th, that is something. As I said, the penalties came later in the race in Division 5, and they have come later in the race for Division 4 as Smike has gone round the outside of Learcat as those tyres are completely finished for Learcat.
Yeah, and he's going to be overtaken by Ray as well, so Learcat dropping down the order on the road, but he'd still finish on the podium as Ray goes to the inside. But runs out wide. Oh, he's in the barrier. Ray hits the wall. Ray has hit the wall as he caught the curb on the inside. That's him out of contention. Yeah, he's got front wing damage as we go back to the race leader. Bratti round in the last corner to cross the line to win the Canadian Grand Prix. It's Mike will be 2nd on the road, but it's Learcat who will take his position there. As you can see, the drivers cross the end of the line. It's Cross Nation who goes up into the podium places.
Izamado's got 2nd.
Izamaru, in fact, has got 2nd place by the end of it all, according to the timing pages. So Izamaru, in the unlikeliest of circumstances, has got himself onto the podium for Ferrari. So Learcat down to 3rd through all that.
We did touch on that earlier. We did touch on him not having as many penalties as others.
So Cross Nation.
That was amazing. That's amazing because he has turned out very similar to yesterday's race. With the penalties, like it was this exact same thing, getting up to 2nd with due to penalties.
So Bratty's your race winner then. It's his third victory of the season. And doing so, he takes a giant step closer towards sealing the Division 4 title in the United Racing League. He's now 68 points clear of everyone else in the championship standings, at least anyway. I didn't quite pick up who actually got the fastest lap point because there was so much going on in those final few laps. But boy, we had a brilliant ending to the race, just like in Baku in real life Formula 1 at the weekend.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't see one of the top runners locking up a wheel and spicing it up even more. But I don't think you can set your brake bias to 86% on this game. So, as that is, I'm still shocked that Izumado managed to get second. I think he was in 9th over the line.
Yeah, so rundown on the final classification of the Canadian Grand Prix. Bratty's your race winner and getting the fastest lap point as well. Izumado, penaltyless, second place for him. Learcat, third. Cross Nation, fourth. Then it's the Haas of Flash in fifth. It's Mike, sixth. Sassy Pickle, seventh, head of Brian B. Ray, ninth. Samuel taking the final point in 10th place. John was 11th, head of Proof in 12th. Jenu in 13th, despite stopping in the pits. Pellegrini crashed out. Liam stopped in the pits. Chris Rock also retired, as did Vivek. And in regards to the championship, the gap is now 69 points between Quendi and Bratty from Quendi, with Leicat's third place, moving him to within 13 points of third place Rydell in the driver's standings. So it's safe to say, Tommy, that Bratty is very much, well, he's pretty much sealed the title now. It's just a matter of when he wins it.
He needs to get 6 more points as long as his closest rival does not score.
So with the
He
gap,
just needs to get 6 more points, and that will be the championship for him.
well, he's got a 69.
No, actually, I forgot about the fastest lap point.
Yeah,
He needs to get 10, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got 69 point margin with 78 left on the table, so he does in fact need 9 more points to clinch the championship, which he can do so next time out in Japan. Now, to do that, he would need to finish either 5th or finish 6th and get the fastest lap, but he's very much favourite. As long as he keeps it out of trouble, he's got a great chance to seal in the title in Suzuka anyway. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thank you, Tommy, for being alongside me in the Conspot today. It's been a huge privilege having you on board, and we can't wait to do it all over again in Suzuka next week. Can Bratty seal the title there? Find out in a week's time on the 18th of June, 7 p.m. British Summer Time. I'm Tom Cairns, he's Tommy, and we'll speak to you again soon when the United Racing League returns.